Hello there. Welcome to Camp Video Games. This is a podcast about video games and their multimedia adaptations. And today we're talking about The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I'm Junior Camp Counselor Sean, and with me is Junior Camp Counselor Josh.
Oh, hello there, campers. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to Camp Video Games. We are going to talk about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and I am here to tell the campers, if a tree in the woods invites you to come inside of its mouth, it's a lot more innocent than it sounds. You just got to go in there and break a curse that's been put on it by a Gerudo man. It's
The curse is called No Not November.
it's not as weird as it sounds. The tree is innocent and kind. Yeah, we're talking about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And Sean alleges to me that there is indeed some sort of media adaptation of some kind.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There's a wonderful manga, official manga that retells the events of Ocarina of Time and adds some things, and it has fun with it. I have only read the first few chapters, so we're not going to get to that today or tomorrow or the next day probably. But
we'll
get to it after we talk our way through this.
Yeah,
pretty good game. Josh, is this the best video game ever made?
I'm going to have a hot take right out the gate. It's not even the best Zelda ever made.
Correct. We live in an era of hyperbole and false idols.
I mean, go watch any given YouTube video about Ocarina of Time. Did you know that it's the highest Metacritic rated video game of all time? And it's like, I get it. Yes, that's fair. When it came out, there's nothing quite like it, but there kind of is, because it really is just refining a lot of things that were already happening in early 3D action game development. There were a lot of moments where I'm like, oh yeah, they had to learn how to do this from Tomb Raider, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So there's something there's something that annoys me about how much people are attached. No, it's the best game of all time. I'm like, no, Breath of the Wild is a better game, and it's the same series.
Yeah.
It's okay it's a great game. I love it, but it's been surpassed. It's okay. It's okay for better things to happen.
Just in broad strokes, this is a lot of people's first in-depth story-driven game that had an explorable 3D world that had a lot of meat on that bone.
Yeah.
And before that, I mean, this was a lot of people's first Nintendo 64 game. And just from a personal standpoint, I didn't have it, but my buddy Greg had the special edition gold cartridge.
Oh yeah, I did
that
too.
Came
somehow.
out for that. You had to pre-order it. It was a pre-order.
I did not
exclusive.
pre-order it, and somehow
you might have bought it used.
I feel like I got it for my birthday after it had been out for a while.
Yeah,
and maybe somebody found it used somewhere, because I'm pretty sure I had the gold cartridge.
Cool.
I remember it being. This is a weird detail. I remember it being slightly physically heavier than other N64 cartridges.
Oh, it's because it's got all that lore in there. It's because it's got the iron boots in that cartridge.
Yeah, mine had the special iron boots DLC where you get a whole extra dungeon of using just the iron boots. That being said, let's go back to 1998.
Yeah, back when we were young hot twinks.
What was your personal experience with Ocarina of Time? What bona fides do you have to discuss this game?
My family was broke growing up, and I bought my copy at a pawn shop. The same year it came out, I found a used copy of it for a decent price compared to the sticker price. And at that point, it was the second Zelda game I'd ever owned. My first and only Zelda game before that was Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
Oh, that's a odd experience to have.
And I remember this was the game. I was 12 years old when this came out, and this was the game people were talking about. And we weren't having recess at that point, but we had lunch and like PE, and like this is the game that my dudes were talking about. Like I grew up with a lot of gamers around me, and I know that's kind of different from your experience.
It's just me and our buddy CB.
CB, what up, baby?
And like our friend Bree was more. He was like already like making games.
Yes.
He was like, I'm over playing them.
Wow, that's cool. What's Bree up to these days?
He's a software engineer who makes a ton of money, and I think his company just got bought out by Google. Two of my best friends growing up, their companies just got bought out by Google, and they make at least $500,000.
Hey, if you're a company man and you show up every day and you don't use your sick hours, they're gonna notice and they're gonna reward you for your dedication.
Meanwhile, I do this.
Yeah, we make so much money here at Camp Video Games. If you want to contribute to the good work that we're doing here, patreon.com/campvideogames. This ain't our first Zelda rodeo here at Camp Video Games. If you want to go back, we talked our way through the entire Breath of the Wild experience. And you go to patreon.com/campvideogames, you can hang out with us as we talk over the Legend of Zelda animated series. We have commentary for each and every one of those episodes. And that lore is so important.
It is really deep.
It's so important.
I think it's going to become important again when the movie comes out in the next year or so.
Now, that might be, for all we know, it could just be a retelling of Ocarina of Time. That's all we know.
We'll see. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Ocarina of Time. We were talking about, our experience with it. Mine, I do believe... I felt like I was quote unquote coming to it late because I'd been following the release hype cycle and Nintendo Power and online because I was a nerd who was reading video game websites on the internet in the mid 90s. And I'm guessing I got it for like my birthday. We were a family where it's like you get one game for Christmas, one game for your birthday.
Yeah, the way it should be.
My Chibis here, man, she just bounces from game to game because we've talked about this. But
these are the halcyon days of overstimulation.
Yeah. So I feel like I probably got it for my birthday in March, like 5 months after it was out.
Yeah.
And so I'd maybe seen people playing it, but to maybe jump ahead a little bit, like I still have such vivid memories of the Kokiri Forest, and I'm
gonna just jump in Kokiri.
And
I'm very good friends with Shigeru Miyamoto, and he really wanted me to insist on that.
Do you actually have a source on why that you pronounce it that way?
Kokiri. It's more Japanese.
That makes sense.
Adjacent.
Kokiri.
That's more Appalachian.
That's true. That's more my style.
Yes, sir.
But, anyway, like I remember very vividly the degree to which just that opening forest and the experience of not having a sword felt so long and challenging to figure out, like, how do I even just get into this first dungeon? Felt like hours spent over days. And now I revisited it and I've probably, like, honestly this is not a game I've replayed every few years like I have with some like Final Fantasies. I probably haven't played this since like the GameCube like re-release of it. I was like, it's been probably 20-25 years at this point.
This is like a game in my adult life I play every year or so.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is
so you're gonna be
this is
a
game
little more expert on it than me.
It's not even, I think I'm gonna be more jaded on it, honestly.
But it's funny because like, and this is the point I was getting to, is revisiting it even after like 25 years. It feels so much easier and smaller than I remember so far. That being said, in my personal playthrough, I've just now reached the adult section. By the way, spoiler alert, there's a time skip of 7 years, but I just got there and like everything up to this point is like, I'm just flying through this game.
Oh yeah.
And I remember one time in like middle school, so it would have been like within a couple years of when the game came out and I'd been playing it a ton. And I used to like half fake sick because I hated school so much.
Yeah, who does? Who doesn't hate school?
So I was like maybe half sick, and I was like, I want to try to play through the whole game in one sick day.
Oh my gosh!
I made it to the fire temple.
That's really impressive.
Second chunk of the game.
I before we start talking about the game proper, and we're still going down memory lane here. My school, I guess I was in 5th grade at the time. in this 5th or 6th grade, I guess. And our school had a like once a year they had a lock in where everybody gets to sleep over at the school, or not everybody, anyone who wanted to. And it was like it was such a cool idea, right? Like everybody gets to like sleep in sleeping bags in the gym, and then there's like activities in the cafeteria, and the computer labs open all night, and it was just like the wildest thing. And we watched I brought in a VHS of Dragon Ball Z and the Tree of Might.
Amazing.
And we watched it on a projection, like in the auditorium in our high school, and that was really cool.
That would not fly when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
It would just been like 20 guys sitting behind you, just going,
yeah, man, it went off without a hitch. People were like, wait, what is this? Because this is like right when Toonami was starting to really hit. Anyway, I was in the computer lab and I was talking with the future valedictorian of my graduating class about Ocarina of Time. And this is the only thing we had in common. This guy was a too intelligent for his own good kid. And he, from memory, told me what turns to make in the Lost Woods to get to Saria. And I was like, okay, what is autism?
Amazing.
Yes. And it really, I was like so impressed. And then when he became valedictorian.
Kids have been accomplishing amazing things with their neurodivergence for decades, and centuries even.
And he's doing better than us, for the record.
Also recently bought out by Google.
Yeah, actually, he bought Google. No, I don't know. He's probably honestly miserable because intelligence does not equal happiness, campers. So talking about it with my classmates, this was like, there was so much to talk about. It wasn't just like, dude, it was cool when you fight those fucking skeletons. It's just like, there's like, so does this take place before or after A Link to the Past? Like before we understood that there was a quote unquote canonical Zelda timeline, kids were talking about it because this time travel stuff really starts to like fuck with your head about what happens when you travel through time, and like, is this the same Link as the one from Zelda 1, or is this like, it really does like what this, I mean, part of a series with as many titles as it has, because by this point, Zelda 2, A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening were on consoles, and those were the Zelda games that we had. And the Wand of Gamelon and Zelda's Adventure or something like that. What was it? What did you say?
Don't forget those classics.
Yeah.
Squad-a-la, indeed.
But this way more than Mario games, where you're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no story to really care about. But with Zelda, it's about the story, and it's about finding out how you're gonna save the princess, not just what princess needs saving from what castle.
Yeah. And on that note, I was reading a interview with Shigeru Miyamoto from around the time that this came out.
Yeah, friend of the show.
As translated or hosted, whatever, reposted on Shmupulations, which is like the best website if you want to go do like development history and interviews and stuff. He speaks to this at length. So I wish I'd thought that maybe one of us would bring it up and pull up the actual quotes from him. But I'm going to do my best to summarize his take on the like timeline stuff. Was that, yes, canonically, this one is first. And this is all also republished in like the 2011 or so.
Hyrule Historia.
Hyrule, yeah. So up to then, like, it stayed pretty consistent. And he's like, yeah, this one's first. And then, now I forget the order. Link to the Past, and then the first one. I don't know. The point is, like, and then he's like, but this is like not that important. It's basically like the official from the man himself, like canonical explanation is like, yeah, we loosely think about how these games are connected, but it's not that important.
Yeah.
Sort of settling that debate as once and for all as possible. And
wait, so he's basically just saying like, cool it, nerds.
Kind of. And like there was a lot less to debate at that time.
Yeah.
You know, especially now with like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have like really flipped the board on like whether or not there's a Zelda timeline because of the way they also sprawl thousands and thousands of years, but are supposed to take place thousands of years after like anything else that could have possibly happened. It's like those games feel like them just hitting the reset button on like no one cares, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like Zelda's a vibe. And he actually says that a lot in the interview of like my job on this game was just to like understand when it was the right vibe, like the Zelda vibe, and just like come in and like sort of make sure that that was consistent throughout.
The proof of concept for Ocarina of Time was originally going to be a first person remake of Zelda 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was their like that's how they were like, okay, we're making a new Zelda, but we're going to remake the second one. Liked it, and we want course correct. And then they decided not to because
Probably a good choice.
of the stigma that Zelda 2 had, where they're like, is this even a Zelda game?
Yeah.
And it talk about the timeline is not really what this podcast does. That's more of a like a kid wearing a suit to school getting a wedgie kind of podcast.
To be fair, I love those podcasts and I listen to some of those Zelda channels. It's just like that's not what I'm interested in.
Neither am I.
With most video games. You'll know when we care about the story in a video game. Like go listen to our Final Fantasy VII series.
Oh, please do.
That was a good one.
The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is the story of a young boy who doesn't have a place in the world, and he saves the world that kind of rejects him. It's this like it's a tragic hero story that shows how fragile our ecosystem is and how whoever's in charge really can determine the quality of life for the people.
It sure does. And before we like dive into the game proper, I think we should discuss also versions of Zelda because I played the 3D remake or am playing the 3D remake for Nintendo 3DS. I'm playing it very delightfully upscaled to like 2K-ish on my TV.
Mm-hmm.
It looks amazing and it's very, very nice to have. But it's got touch controls.
Yes.
Which is annoying.
Yes.
Did you ever play it?
I did. Yeah. I did. So I did. My friend Ben and I, not Ben who's been on the show, but another guy. We when the game first came out, and it was like 2011, I think, when the 3DS remake came out in 2011. I booted up an original N64 cartridge of the game. He started a new file on his 3DS, and we raced each other to see who could get to the master.
That's hilarious.
And it was like neck. It was a close race, and he ended up winning because I think some of the 3DS features allow you to maybe skip dialogue faster. I'm not sure. You could probably speak more on that.
I'm pretty sure the dialogue does run a lot faster in the 3DS version. It's extremely faithful. There are some control things that the word that comes to mind that I would describe is they feel floatier.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially his backflip. I'm like, he just like floats and flies.
One thing I remember the 3DS does right is in the water temple, there's going to be a dedicated button for the iron boots. So you don't have to open the menu to switch to it. You can just, it's like one of the C button type uses.
So that
is a quality of life improvement.
That is, okay. So like, I think what I need to do for the rest of my playthrough is I need to like, like I'm playing it on an emulator on a Mac. And that's not what I'm doing. So like you'll see my footage the first few times is like I had the second screen up on the main screen.
Oh yes.
And you use the touchpad of the computer and you have to like click on the touch screen to activate stuff. So you get two like regular XY buttons for your items, which in the N64 it was
C up and C left, I believe.
Did you get 3 items up at a time?
I'm sorry. C down and C left. C up in the original game is to interface with Navi
Oh,
or
yeah.
to go into first person mode.
And left, down, and right.
Left, down, and right are your available items.
So in this one, you get X and Y are available items. And then there's 2 extra slots that you're supposed to pull out the stylus and tap them when you want it. So you get 4 items out at a time, but 2 of them have to be tapped.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kept hitting like L2 and R2 and like double checking, like, did I assign these? Because I'm like, this feels like it's supposed to be L2 and R2.
Yeah.
And I don't think it
Yeah.
is. If somebody played it on 3DS and I'm wrong and L2 and R2 do have an item function, correct me, but it's a little cumbersome. So I'm trying to get it so that I'm going to make my iPad a secondary screen and put the touch screen on the iPad and then use my Apple Pencil for that part of the game. It's very complicated, but I think I finally figured it out. So like in all my early footage, you'll see like I put the touch screen in a tiny window in the corner. And then eventually I was like, there's not anything visually interesting here. And I got rid of it.
Yeah.
So it'll disappear as we talk about the game. But like, I don't know. I don't love it. Maybe I have a 2DS and I never played this game on it, but like, I don't know. I guess on the 2DS, it's like the touch screen is right there. You can just reach your thumb over and tap it. I think it works on your thumb without the stylus, but
it does.
I don't love the dedication to touch that some of the games of this era did. I think the Nintendo DS was a great system, lots of great games, but some of the stuff being stuck in the touch screen world is a little annoying now.
So for my most recent playthrough of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, I played the Switch release through the Switch Online and
interesting
version, and that was the first time I like played through it using that mode, because I'm still a cartridge gamer. I will still dust off the old N64, put in my old rickety N64 controllers with the weird joystick that doesn't quite work right, but I'm used to it. But I played it with the Switch, and the item interaction is similarly frustrating in that sense, where the C buttons, which would be your item or your first person mode, those are all accessed through the right joystick.
Oh, weird.
So when you need to play a song on the ocarina, it's like putting in like a fight, like a combo in like a fighting game. And it's miserable. And it's one of the only major criticisms that I had of that remaster. I don't know what you call that.
It's just direct
that
port,
emulation.
Actually, I think I've told you about this. Like we tried with our kid. I tried her playing Ocarina of Time before Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Because I think like this was last summer. So it was like the Switch 2 had been announced. I was like, I want to give her another Zelda game because she loved the Link's Awakening remake. That was her first.
That's a really good first Zelda game.
Yeah. And the remake's very good other than like some very bad frame rate problems. The art style's awesome. But I wanted to tide her over. So I tried the Switch Ocarina of Time port. And we ran into that same piece of friction of like, you have to mentally remap the controller twice. And then for her, she didn't even have an original mental map of the N64 controller.
Right, yeah.
So she's like, what the heck is like a C button? You
know,
right.
And
I'm like, no, what they mean is this. It was a whole thing. And she just couldn't stick with it for that. And I do still feel, even in the remake, the graphics are a little dated. The thing that I think struggles the most is the sort of like stretched out low res textures of all the surfaces. Makes it feel dated, which is funny because it just looks like Minecraft at this point.
Sure.
And all the kids love Minecraft. And like there's like, I don't know, there's some like kind of like light and color things. It feels like it's a early or like a shift towards that era where every video game was brown, you know, in the early 2000s. Yeah. Like the colors just aren't as vibrant at all as like Breath of the Wild, which, you know, feels like a Ghibli film, you know?
Yes. I know that we could fix all of these like controller issues if you just get a USB N64 controller
Uh-huh.
and play a bit more close to the native method, and that is a fairly simple fix for my mostly not important because it's a really good game.
Yeah.
This is still like one of the best of the Zelda games that um I it's not one of the best games ever made, and I don't I'm not trying to stir the pot with
I mean,
that.
it is, but it's not the best.
So as we record this, there's been a pretty serious leak from the good folks over at Nintendo that
Oh, yeah.
an impending remake is bound to come out eventually
Mhm.
of Ocarina of Time. And I mean, they had to have looked and see like, oh, well, like all of the best-selling video games from the mid 90s are getting
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid. Well, that doesn't.
Well, they're doing those in like timeline order. So,
is
yeah.
that how they're doing it? I like
Yeah.
that. I like that because like Snake Eater, one of the best games I've ever played. That's that. Never mind. I'm not going to stir the pot that much. But okay. So
Yeah, but
Resident
go
Evil
off about this.
Resident
yes.
Evil 2 gets its remake.
Uh-huh.
That was masterful. Go back, listen to our review of that. That was, I mean, that's one of my favorite all-time video games as well.
Yeah.
You've got, what are other 90s video games?
I mean,
that are being
everything's being remade.
Yeah.
Like I've been bogged down, and I've been wanting to. My thing I keep saying I've been writing about Chrono Trigger, probably up to 8,000 to 10,000 words at this
Jesus
point.
Christ.
It's been a while since I've touched the actual script because I hit this wall where I'm like, this question I'm asking about, like, what kind of remake? Why remake? And now I'm just playing all these remakes, and I'm just like hitting this point where I go, no, really, why are we remaking all these games over and over again? And the thing you're leading up to is that the leak was, they think Star Fox 6, a new Star Fox, and then a remake of this game. And I think, I don't know, it's hard because this remake I'm playing, it's like, it's perfect. Granted, I have an emulator that upscales it very well for my TV. But like, I don't need it again, And like, part of the reason that they're doing it, aside from what you're saying of like it's the style, it's the norm right now.
Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil, like all of these games are getting remakes.
And like, I think part of why they're redoing this is there's this like feedback loop IP slop thing that Nintendo's starting to enter, where they kind of want to do like a full Marvel universe thing with all their intellectual properties. Because there's a Zelda movie coming out shortly after, when we're expecting a remake of this to either be announced or remade or launched. They just did the Mario Galaxy movie, which I haven't seen it yet, has a scene where it's like, remember Fox McCloud?
I haven't watched it either. Go back, listen to our review of the Super Mario Brothers movies. We talked about both of them. The sweet Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, the good one. That's
I would
the good
pick Bob
Mario
Hoskins
movie
over Chris Pratt any day.
That was our hot take, is that the original Mario Brothers movie is the good one.
But a friend of the show, shout out Vinny, he saw the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and he said, without too much spoilers, that Fox McCloud actually plays a pretty significant role in the movie.
Yeah.
Although in a recent interview, Miyamoto also said, we're not going to make a, like, he's just basically saying like, that's too much work. Like, that's too much IP that we'd have to get all the rights to.
Yeah. And it's like, you're already kind of halfway there with these Illumination films and putting in Fox McCloud and yada, yada.
With like Donkey Kong being in the last one.
It's
and
like
they had a Super Smash Brothers fight essentially in the first movie.
Yeah. It's like the only thing they've held back at this point, assuming that it's not in there, is like Samus. That's like their last intellectual property to dump into another Mario movie.
What about the Ice Climbers? What about Mr. Game & Watch?
I mean, they're probably in this. Okay, well, this is not about Mario Galaxy movie.
Oh, they're not. Now there's a Metal Gear Solid movie coming out.
Yeah. Okay.
The Slop Parade. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah.
We deserve this. This is better than getting nuked, I guess.
Point is, like, I'm probably gonna pass on an Ocarina of Time remake. Like, this playthrough that I'm doing is like feels pretty like for me, I'm like, I'm good. Like,
Closure.
it feels like closure. Like the same thing I did with like doing a Secret of Mana video like last fall. I'm like, I revisited it and I went, oh, it was great then, but like there's plenty of new interesting stuff for me now.
Yeah.
and like this game is actually quite simpler than I recall. And some of this is like I'm viewing it through an uncharitable lens of having revisited Breath of the Wild a lot in the last several months, watching my whole family play it separately. And like the first thing I immediately clocked is the difference in like the quality and depth of the dialogue. Is like Ocarina of Time, it feels a lot more of like a just direct to the point translation. Whereas like Breath of the Wild is like, no, these are people, these are characters.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And like this world feels lived in when I talk to people. And it's so funny because people kind of like breeze through Breath of the Wild as like, oh, it's this lonely game. There's not much story to it. And dude, like that world is lived in. It's just there's a lot of gaps of space between like the NPCs and the people that you get to know. And this is just like, opening thing, the Deku Tree is like, Navi, the boy who doesn't have a fairy needs a fairy. Go to him. You know, like it's just so bam, go.
Yeah. We'll talk about this game, George?
Yeah. I was saying that to try to get into like the game story and proper here.
The game and like I think one of the reasons that a lot of people still have such fond memories of playing this is because this game doesn't treat the gamer like a baby. It really does kind of just be like, okay, here's some like heady dialogue about the fate of the world, and then it's like, go for it.
Yeah. Which is funny because actually Miyamoto in that same interview talks about Navi and the level of tutorializing necessary. And he basically is like, oh, I hate Navi.
It was a mistake.
He's like, oh, this was bad. But then he says, like, the thing I appreciate about Navi and like how redundant she is and how he describes her as like she's like a little vague, and I'm like, she's pretty on the nose about like you should go do this.
Yeah.
He's like, it's nice. It's the thing it still serves is for the player who puts the game down for like a month and comes back to it as like a reminder of what to do. I was like, okay, I'll give you that. But he was like, yeah, I kind of regret some of the things we let go with Navi.
I think a lot of people have very justifiable complaints about Navi. Navi is a fairy who the Deku Tree assigns to Link, a young Hylian boy living in the Kokiri forest with the other children of the forest. Deku Tree is this big anthropomorphic tree that is like the spirit guardian of these, essentially the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Because this is again it all goes back to Peter Pan. It all goes back to the forever children who live in the woods and fight pirates. I always thought there was like a weird like molestation thing going on with the pirates.
We rewatched Peter Pan, the animated one, recently. Not very good.
I disagree. I fully disagree. I watched it a couple of years ago and I was delighted.
Yeah.
But I think that's more of a taste thing where I have it and you don't. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
So as the story progresses, we find out that Link is a young Hylian boy. The Hylians are essentially the humans of this world that live in Hyrule. And he was orphaned by a civil war that broke out when he was a baby. His mother was killed. Father was a soldier. He probably was killed as well. And the mother entrusted her child to the forest. Very Princess Mononoke, where this child has been raised by the forest gods. And Link he's the little boy. He's dressed like Peter Pan. And okay, here's a fun little thing. There was supposed to be a dating sim
Hilarious.
element to this game, because when you play through, there are eligible bachelorettes that are always presenting themselves to Link in not too subtle of ways. And
Yeah,
first and foremost is
there's a lot
Link's
of 'em.
best friend, Saria. There was that one NPR host, Nelson. I'm like, is that how you're supposed to say it, Saria?
I've always said
only heard
Soraya.
Saria.
Yeah.
I've only heard Saria for her, so that's how I'll be pronouncing it. You can say it however you want, campers and
Yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth. Psoriasis. Anyway, yes, we got her. We've got Ruto. Is that the Zora
that's
princess?
the princess Ruto, and then you've
Zelda,
got
obviously.
Malin
Yes.
and Darunia.
Yes. The best choice.
Yes. It's kind of like when you go on a date with Barrett
Yeah.
on the cable car.
Yeah, it's I wonder like what like that idea for a dating sim came from, because like
Well, the Japanese love dating sims.
well, that's what I was just saying is like they were blowing up at the like the mid 90s, but they were like games where it's like that's all it is. You know, it's like deep dating sim games.
You ever play any of those?
You know, no, I have not. I tried playing. I think I tried finding like a English translation of like one of the Tokameki Memorial games from the mid 90s, which is like one of the OGs that like really established the formula of those. I'm like, now like what's the best dating sim thing I've experienced is like
Grinder.
Well, in real life, yes. No. In a game, like one of my favorite ones that's just coming to mind was Fire Emblem Three Houses. Came out, God, like 6-7 years ago now.
Okay.
That's a pretty deep, good one. It's like you're a teacher of a child army. You're like, and so there's all this like classroom stuff you have to do, and eventually it's weird because you end up like dating one of your students, but it's like, oh no, you're only a few years older than them, and like,
oh, like the TA hooks up with the valedictorian.
But then it does the same thing as this game where there's a big time jump of like 5 years or something. And then like one of them truly becomes like, no, like we are partners, and like you can like, I don't know, it's interesting.
Thing I love about these dating sims is I get older and they stay the same age, man.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites. That's
I think
like
Final Fantasy VII is the closest I ever got to a dating sim. where you know, is it going to be Aerith? Is it going to be Tifa? Is it going to be Yuffie? Is it going to be Barrett?
Yeah. And then like Persona 5 is like one of my least favorite. People love that game. I like it, but God, the dating sim aspect of it is like you are truly a teenager and you can date and have implied sexual relations with like your teacher who is definitely like 10 years older than you. Like your like doctor who is definitely like 10 years older than you.
These are all
like
authority
all these,
figures.
Like all these
troubling.
authority figures that are way older than you.
Yeah.
And you're definitely underage, and it's very weird.
Weird. Okay, so less weird is this clan of forest children.
Yeah.
Who all I don't think they necessarily worship the Deku Tree, but he's like their guardian spirit that they are like dependent on for security. Like
I've always thought of it, as like it's like a mutual relationship. He takes care of them, they take care of him in the ways that they can't.
Yeah, like what? Like they give him fertilizer?
I guess.
The Deku Tree is like an ancient. I mean, it's like an ant, I guess, from like Tolkien mythology, and it's stationary. It doesn't walk around. That'd be weird. But like, okay, here's my question. So, well, first, okay, the Deku Tree has already been cursed by Ganondorf, who is the antagonist of this game. Ever heard of him?
They do a really good job in this game of just being like, he's a bad dude.
Yes.
Every time, well, we skipped over that you get the preview, like Link's dream that he presumably is repeatedly having.
A psychic dream.
Yeah, a bad dude coming out of a castle with a girl and scaring him.
Obviously Zelda's the other eligible bachelorette that we didn't.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But and so we get that preview of that dream, and to that point, everything thing, every like task that we approach as young Link is prefaced with like, things went bad here recently because of a man named Ganondorf.
Yes. The Mujahideen has put a curse on me.
Yeah, we can get into the sort of racism
We'll
of the
get to that later.
Gerudo eventually.
So this is like the Deku wishes like dying, like it knows it's dying essentially.
Mhm.
And so that's when it's the call to action. If we're going by the hero's journey,
Mhm.
is that like Link's childhood is coming to an end in his idyllic forever childhood world where but also like, okay, so the Kokiri, they stay children forever. Link, he's a Hylian.
How did they not notice he was growing up? And I know
that's
like,
the thing,
this
because
is
like
not
he
important,
can't, I know exactly. Thank you. He comes to the Kokiri forest when he's a baby,
uh-huh.
and then they're not like, what's up with this baby? Like we don't.
I mean, it's like maybe they grow to this age and stop. So he's just about to hit the point where he'd grow past them. I don't know. But
I don't know. I see the Kokiri children a lot like back to Princess Mononoke, those white spirit guardians, that they're just these like timeless things that have always been and always will be.
Right. And they're sort of replaced in Breath of the Wild with the more direct references from Princess Mononoke. What are those guys called? Why am I blanking?
Deku's. No.
Yeah, Deku is the word that's stuck in my brain. Anyway, it doesn't matter what they're called.
What are they called?
Trust us, we know.
We've played it a lot.
I've invested 500 hours of my life in that game.
Yeah. Maybe baby Link like grew up inside the Deku Tree.
Yeah, or they just didn't let him out of his house.
Yeah. But in any case, that's convenient because he's supposed to be 10 years old here. He's about to start hitting puberty. And like you can't have like a hormone addled.
I think this is actually like another brilliant thing about Ocarina of Time is that like Link is the age of the target demographic for the game. And then he ages up where he's like still not quite a like, oh, this is a just grown man.
Yeah, he doesn't have like stubble and a beer gut and
like
debt.
When he's grown up, he's sort of like grown up in the way that like when you're 12, a junior or senior in high school looks like, wow, they're so big and responsible and serious.
Like, oh wow, they've got a driver's license.
Like it really nails the right portrayals of age for somebody who's coming of age and wants to have an adventure about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it seems like in like a last ditch attempt to save the Deku Tree's life, he assigns Navi to Link, and that starts his adventure where the Deku Tree has summoned Link, but Link can't go to the Deku Tree. According to Mido, he's like the narc of the Kokiri.
Everybody hates Mido.
He can't go to the Deku Tree until he gets the legendary Kokiri sword and the Kokiri shield.
Mm-hmm.
And was the Deku? Is it a Deku shield? No, it's just a Kokiri shield.
It's a Deku shield.
Is it? So it's made from Deku like tree wood?
Possibly. I mean, you could find several of them throughout the game because it can burn. You have to replace it.
Oh yeah.
Again, I'm gonna go back to Miyamoto of like the lore doesn't matter. It's about, is it a Zelda vibe or not?
Yes, of course, of course. But there's also Deku scrubs that you fight, and there's like you know, it seems like Deku might be more of like that's like being like Amazon. Like the Deku tree is like an Amazonian forest where like this one tree might be the source of all the other trees.
The Deku,
the Mana tree.
Yeah.
Man, that's another link right there to Secret of Mana, where it's just like this giant magical tree that has secret.
And back to Miyamoto's interview, he also talks about this sequence that you're talking about. He's like, that's the most hands-on I got with this game, was making sure that like first half hour to hour prologue, getting into the first dungeon, and he even specifically mentions like, and then like jumping down and falling through the web, which we'll get to.
Oh, I love it.
He's like, that was where I had my hands on the wheel the most.
Interesting.
And then beyond that, I was just like, is it a good Zelda vibe? Checking in. And then he also was like, but then as things started to crunch, he's like, I did find any kind of just needed to be on the floor to make sure it got finished, but it was still your game, you guys make it. So the tutorializing of this is the Miyamoto touch of I want to make sure you feel comfortable and your hand is held just enough in this world. And it is funny that he mentions it's 30 minutes to get into that dungeon. And like I said earlier, I remember this being hours to figure out where's this stupid sword.
The sword, I mean, it's just
and trying to collect the money to buy the shield.
Blink and you can miss it because it's just a hole in the wall and a kind of out of the way portion of the forest. There you crawl through and you find a sword in a treasure chest. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Right.
And then you got to collect 40 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did as a kid, there's a section, and everyone who's played this knows what I'm talking about. There's the section right in front of the shop in the Kokiri Forest where if you just hop from stone to stone, you get 5 rupees. You just go outside, go back, you change screens, you go back out, you jump it again 8 times, boom. And then there's a 5 rupee piece behind the shopkeeper in the shop as well.
Yeah.
So it's you can get that 40 rupees pretty quickly.
Yeah, it just felt like a real task.
Yeah,
as a 11, 12-year-old, whatever.
Well, as an 11 and 12-year-old, cleaning your room felt like such a Herculean task.
As I'm on the screen, I have my first shop visit here. Which one? The amount of detail in the textures that you get in the remake is a lot of fun. That's been one of my favorite things about playing the remake. Is just going in and seeing, oh, that's what this design was supposed to be, and reflecting on that to the original. I'm also thinking, as I'm thinking about the shop, and you will know why if we watch this, we should also watch the film Hundreds of Beavers.
Oh, yeah. You brought that up last
game.
year.
It is heavily influenced by this game, specifically the shop. There's a moment if you watch that movie, you're going to go, oh my God, it's the shop from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually.
We should do that as part of this series. It's a very video gamey movie. But anyway.
There's probably maybe 24 Kokiri living in this forest. It seems like a pretty small, insular, isolationist people. They don't have trade or commerce with the outside world. They're self-sufficient.
Not a phone in sight. Everybody's living in the moment.
That's right. And everyone just seems to have accepted Link, and they were happy to see that he's got his fairy because every Kokiri has a fairy, and much like how Peter Pan has Tinkerbell, it seems to be just what's the word? A symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in theory, because it's not in practice. It's not like Link is helping Navi catch bugs to eat or something but it's
she eats the bugs off of his back,
krill,
how macaque monkeys have to groom each other and they eat it.
Oh man, I want to see one of those monkeys dressed up like Link. So the first portion is just hey, get comfortable with the controls before we put any enemies in front of you.
They are very new. The controls.
The controls are new. De-targeting is one of the major gaming breakthroughs that Ocarina of Time introduced, as far as I know, where the Z button, which is the trigger on the traditional N64 controller, if Navi flies over something and changes color, you press the Z button, you'll lock onto it, and that's now Link's focal point of interest, and he will walk around it while still keeping his eyes on it. Much as the combat goes through, it's a sword fight where you got to keep your eyes on your enemy at all times.
Yeah.
In this playthrough, Josh, I decided to see how little Z targeting I could do to get through this game. And let me tell you, it's a very hard game to play without constant Z targeting.
I struggled getting used to going back, and I do this with any 3D game before the default was that your right analog stick is camera control. is really hard for me to grasp with now.
You got to reprogram your brain.
And
to
I was
play these old
joking
games.
about how like for my wife's run through of Breath of the Wild for a very long time, she like would almost never touch the right stick. She'd always use the Z target or whatever it's called at this point to refocus the camera,
which
and
is how you do it in Ocarina of Time.
Exactly. And like having to do that, I was just like, oh God, this is so frustrating for the first like half hour. It really took my brain a minute to rewire and adjust back to it. Something else I was gonna mention. Before the Deku Tree dungeon. Also want to rewind like the intro of Navi to Link, where she flies through and we get this expository view of the forest. Little fleeting music that follows her is so wonderful. It's like the first time that like we ever really had like this first person flight through like a truly 3D rendered space. Cause I was like kind of comparing it. I was like, is it like Final Fantasy VII? You had 3D characters on these flat backgrounds. Doom was still sprite based. And like, this is the first big game I think a lot of people experienced with that much like in engine camera flying through a space like that. And the detail of like her bouncing off of the fence and like having to like readjust and shaking it off is like so much more brilliant than we give it credit for. Like they did not have to think about those details and people still would have been wowed, but they did it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's like one of those things I'm like, no, it still really is one of the greatest games of all time.
It is.
It's been surpassed, but like those little details they could have skipped and people still would be like, this is incredible. But anyway, I just wanted to get that out before we go on.
So Link gets the shield. Mido lets him pass now that he sees a sword and shield in Link's hands. Mido has never liked Link because of his close friendship with Saria. And Saria is like I think a lot of gamers like first introduction to like the aesthetic of a manic pixie.
True.
And she's got the green bob cut and like boy shorts and just like playing with that type of trope.
Mm-hmm.
Mido lets him through. Link has this little one-on-one with the Deku Tree, who's basically said, "There's been a curse put on me. I need you to go in there and clear out my guts." And
spent a lot of time in things guts in this first chunk of the game.
Well, it's like Jonah and the Whale, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that the right name? I think so. Not a Bible guy.
No, that's right.
Several times that
or Pinocchio, which is Jonah and the Whale.
Yeah, I'm a real boy. So Link
which
goes
is also
in.
Ocarina of Time. I'm a real boy. I'm not a Kokiri.
That's right. I'm a real boy. And the first dungeon, it's inside the Deku Tree. My first question, Josh, is: you think like the Kokiri like hang out in there, or
it's a good question.
Is this just for when the Deku Tree's been like, oh, got a stomachache, someone go in there and kill a spider?
Yeah. I've never really thought that hard about it.
But the lore implications.
Yeah, again, I'm gonna keep going back to Miyamoto himself saying, I also have never thought that hard about it. Therefore, I don't quite care. I know for a fact that their first interest is designing a dungeon that is fun to play.
Yes, and it is. This is, I mean, the first 3D dungeon like blew my mind.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, we're inside the Deku Tree, and now it's like well, I think we've talked about this before. The Berenstain Bears and the spooky old tree, and it's just like what appealed to me was that it was like a spooky version of like a playground. Where you go in, there's like a spiral staircase, and then there's like the inside of the Deku Tree, like architecturally speaking, makes no sense, but that's not the important part.
Yeah,
it's that we're on a quest to help this guardian spirit, and we're now learning to fight scary monsters.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense enough that it is a mostly tubular space.
Tubular.
That like has a soft, weak spot directly in the middle to which you can go below it to its like
The
root
roots.
space.
Yeah.
And root out the thing that is cursing it.
If you take the right route.
Yeah. And I think the first, like the main puzzle you have to solve in this of jumping from the highest point in the tree, landing on the web and bouncing through it is one of the most like all-time best like Zelda puzzle solutions of the nature of, I forget if it's like Miyamoto or Aonuma, who is like a good Zelda puzzle is one that just makes you go, I feel smart.
Yes.
And but like anybody could solve it.
Well, it's so like what it is like, you try jumping into it from the first level and he just bounces like a trampoline.
And you'll see, there's something different about this surface.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just Link needs to reach for maximum velocity.
Yeah.
And going through the level, I mean, we're not going to talk about every room in this level or every puzzle in this game.
That would be a bad idea.
The first,
but that one's important.
Tool of importance that you find is a slingshot, and that's when Ocarina of Time turns into a first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And the slingshot is not just a weapon, but it's also a tool, and it's its own key to certain doors. Where as soon as you get the slingshot, no way for you to exit the room except for to use the slingshot to shoot a ladder down. And it's not like Navi will give you a hint, but it's not like they're stopping the game and saying, this is a slingshot. You need to use this to do this, this, or this.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I guess I'll shoot. Because like you get a slingshot, you want to use it immediately. It's like, oh, cool. Like, and that's how most of one of my favorite parts about Zelda games in general is that you get a weapon, and it's not just a weapon; it is a means of progression.
Yeah,
and that's how they like can gatekeep the next level.
Yeah.
Is you need the slingshot to open the locked doors, so that you can then fight the boss that needs a slingshot to be incapacitated, so that you can then attack it properly.
It's funny. I'm like itching to get in here because it's like this was my favorite thing about Zelda until Breath of the Wild, and to a lesser extent, what's the one for 2DS that's like a loose remake of Link to the Past?
The Upside Down World, Legend of Zelda.
I don't know why I'm blanking, but
I never played that one.
The point is, they opened the idea of progression not being gate kept by an individual item.
Yeah.
Link Between Worlds is the name of that one.
Thank you. I was about to look it up.
So the way like Link Between Worlds works is the character Ravi like lives in what you know as Link's house from the first one, and you can go and swap out which weapon you have available.
Yeah.
And choose like, and then that opens progression to different areas. And then of course Breath of the Wild, the Great Plateau goes, here's every tool you need, go nuts.
Besides the parasail.
Yes.
That's the one thing that you're like, you need this.
It's, and like I've always thought like when I play a old Zelda pre those ones, like there's something like exciting and a little deflating about like when you get the item. I always think to myself when I get the item in the dungeon, I'm like, all right, I just blew this thing wide open because now I know every piece of friction I run into, use the item.
Yeah.
There's no longer a challenge.
You've solved for X, and now the equation is quite apparent.
But it's like it's also a really fun feeling too because you feel this increase of power of instead of leveling up with experience points, Zelda has always done it with items.
Except for Zelda 2.
Yeah, good point. Like the classic Zelda formula is getting the item is how you level up. And now you have new powers, new abilities to reach things. And Ocarina of Time is just the absolute solid, like, most exquisite execution of that formula that they ever did, I think.
Yeah, well put.
Because then, like,
the major enemies that you fight in this dungeon, it's all spiders. Got one, and in the Zelda universe, they're called, I'm going to call them Skulltulas, not Skulltulas, because I feel like it's a play on the word tarantula.
Yeah, I literally didn't realize that until this playthrough.
Yeah,
I just looked at it for a moment. I was like, "Oh, Skulltula."
yeah.
I've always said Skulltula.
With the double L, that seems to like phonetically encourage you to say Tola.
Yeah.
Instead of
Words.
So, and we get introduced. So there's the like the Deku seeds in what are they called? The Kokiri children in the Breath of the Wild.
I'm blanking on.
I
remember
feel,
Hess too.
I feel very ashamed. Like I don't feel shame very often, and this is one of the rare times. Korok. Korok
gracious.
seeds. How after this game, pretty much as far as I remember, like they started introducing fetch quests where it's just like, and there's side quests that you can sort of level up your items. They introduced the gold Skulltula in this level, and I think now that I'm thinking about it, like thematically, like most of the enemies that you fight that are a real threat are spider based, and that's preparing you for the eventual fight with Queen Goma, which is the spider boss of this level, and she apparently is the curse that Ganon put inside the Deku's belly.
Yeah, he's just apparently has some sort of power to manipulate monsters or implant them in places. It's like what you seem to learn throughout these first 3 dungeons as a child in the game.
And what the reason Ganondorf is being so mean to this nice talking tree because he wants the spiritual stone of the forest.
Yes,
which is going to be an important relic that is necessary for the game to continue. And so after Link does all the problem solving upstairs and he gets to the very top, he jumps down through the cobwebs, thematically appropriate because you're fighting all these spiders and you're about to fight an even bigger spider. So of course it's a cobweb that's keeping you from being able to get to it. We have a showdown with like a pretty scary monster compared to everything else that we've seen at this point. We've seen Deku scrubs, we've seen Deku sprouts, the Baba, like the
Deku Baba.
Deku Baba, thank you.
I only know that because I saw it pop up on the screen.
Very good. Very good, Junior.
Yeah.
And Queen Goma, and Goma's been a boss in previous Zelda games.
Yeah, Goma was
in the first one, I believe.
I want to say Goma was the spinning wheel with the eye. Goma was the spider.
Link to the Past.
Goma was the spider in the 6th dungeon, I think. It's just like it's a spider and you just shoot arrows at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's thematically or whatever consistent with the series. And I got one more question about this dungeon.
Yeah.
The clue from the Deku scrub.
23 is number 1.
23 is number 1.
I'll always know that.
I was like, it was, I don't know,
like Michael Jordan.
That's what I said. It was like, oh, I just always assumed it was a Michael Jordan reference, and I'm like, do you think that was in the original translation? Like, did the Japanese know or care who Michael Jordan was?
I know they cared because I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan did some Japanese back in the day.
There was also the 1992 American Dream Team in the Olympics that made them go international. But like, that's something if somebody knows like how that translation happened, because I mentioned earlier, like this game, the language feels so direct and so simple compared to how lived in and localized it feels once we reach Breath of the Wild. That like that little piece of like that's like Squaresoft level translation from the 90s of like it was just some guy, some 24-year-old in a room that had no oversight. It was like, I'm just gonna put in my own little jokes and references to Star Wars.
Some dweeb otaku is just like also a Bulls fan.
Like, I really want to know how that got in there. And it's funny to think also about it like,
ooh, the evil King Dennis Rodman is coming.
I was thinking in retrospect of like Will the kids playing this today go, oh yeah, LeBron James, 23 is number 1? Yeah.
I'm so out of the loop.
Because of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Because like he's our age and he looked up to him.
Yeah.
Just took his number. So I just really got a kick out, out of that being in there.
I also remember, and this is a very specific detail, but in Resident Evil 2, the original 1998 version, there's a like a handle puzzle that you have to solve, and it's the same thing. You have to do 2, 3, and then 1. You have to light them in that order before you can get the golden cogwheel, which will allow you to go up the attic, and then you fight Mr. X again. And
wait, which one was that before or after this game?
They both came out in 98.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I think they just had Bull's favor. Yeah. But they don't.
That was like a really hot time.
They don't say anything about 23 is number 1. It's just it's a figure it out type of puzzle.
Yeah, I love that. I love that that's still in there.
So Queen Goma is this spooky spider monster that lays eggs that eventually turn into little baby Gomas that fight you. You're in this dark basement, and it's just like see this rolling eyeball that like in her eye socket, it's just got free. It's like the eye has its own mind of its own. That's just like rolling around like a trackball in an old mouse. And the slingshot, you gotta shoot it in the eyeball while it's on the ceiling, and that stuns Queen Goma, falls down, and then you just let her rip with the Kokiri sword. Mm-hmm. Now, I've gotten pretty good at this game over the years, Josh, because I've played it probably like 40 times. And I know that the jump slash it's far more powerful than the regular sword slash. And you can finish this boss quite quickly. Yeah. By just use and that turned into a handicap for me because I'm still trying not to Z target, but I'm using the jump slash as my main form of attack. I guess the jump slash, if we want to think about it in terms of like some analogs, it's what's Cloud's first limit break?
Wave slash? I don't know.
Where he just jumps and he does the jump slash.
Which is I should remember this because it's also like I think it's also like the name of like his main first attack in the remake. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But
just a thought. It's the same attack.
I will say my footage of this fight this time around not very impressive because I was still getting used to the new controls, the regression of controls.
Oh, the excuses we make when people start watching us play. So
I did fine. It just took a little longer than I remember. I was like, getting used to the camera still lining her up.
So Link kills this spooky spider and sort of saves the Deku Tree in the sense that like actually he doesn't really accomplish anything in this case because after he defeats the Queen Goma, what I like about this too is that there's a heart container. You know, every time you beat a boss of a major dungeon, a heart container, and it's optional.
Mm-hmm.
I have beat this game with 3 hearts.
So can you go back and get it later?
You can,
or are you locked out of every dungeon after?
No, I'm fairly certain you can go back.
Interesting.
I believe the Deku Tree's mouth stays open. I think that's what that mouth do.
Because I remember kind of like thinking that like when I beat the
better
boss,
get it before I lose the chance kind of thing.
Like it was just like the portal out was more visibly apparent to me than the heart. That I was like, could I just leave and not get? Interesting.
You can play through this entire game with only 3 hearts.
Interesting.
And I've done it, and it's not that
fun. But yeah, we defeated the Deku Tree dies, and I believe this is when we are told the history of how Hyrule was born. Correct? It's right before the tree
we get
dies?
The creation myth of the Triforce.
Yes. It's like it's not that different than like the actual like Genesis creation myth.
In the beginning, there was nothing.
In the beginning, there was nothing, and
then there was light.
This thing was added. This thing was added. This thing was added, and the only difference is like instead of like a one deity, there's 3 deities, and each one brings a different thing to the world.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what else do we get told here. Oh, we get told that Ganondorf wants the power of the sacred realm, where the Triforce lives, which is the essence of the gods.
What's that, Josh?
It's a MacGuffin.
Ah, yes.
It's this is like something I kind of love and hate about. We were talking about. We just watched Into the Spider-Verse right before we were recording with the kiddo here, and they just in that movie do this sort of meta self-aware commentary of, and instead of explaining what the MacGuffin does, one of the characters is like, I've done this so many times, it's just the gizmo, or he has some word for it. It's like, it's just like, don't worry about what it does. But that being said, this does introduce lore that has been consistent now up through Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom of like one god each for the colors red, green, and blue, and that those are attached to red for power, which as we go on, spoiler alert, is connected to Ganondorf. Somehow he has it in his hand, which Miyamoto in that back to that same interview, he's like, yeah, we didn't really think through how like Ganondorf already has a Triforce or whatever. I
believe what happens is, so if we skip ahead a bit, he gets access to the sacred realm once the Master Sword is removed, and that enables him to like manifest his third of the power of the Triforce, whereas the other 2 parts are contained within our other heroes. We'll get to that.
Yeah. But this lore is like now been consistent of that red is power, is Ganondorf.
Din.
Green is courage, is Link.
Furor.
And then what's the last one? Blue is Wisdom, Zelda.
Nehru.
And
do the Nehru.
There was something else I had to say about that. And like the blue we also see and talked about a lot in Breath of the Wild as also having this attachment to the Sheikah,
yes.
The wisdom, technology, and I don't know, we could spoil this game even though we're like, right?
Campers, have you played this game? Do you know what happens in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time? If you don't want spoilers, go ahead to patreon.com/campvideogames and give us $5 a month, and we won't spoil the game for you, I promise.
But I'm about to anyway, that Zelda then in the adult timeline hides as a Sheikah named Sheik. Very deep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always got kind of an ick from that, where Zelda's like, I'm the last of my people, the Sheikah. And I'm like, this is Rachel Dolezal situation.
I don't know how much she was cosplaying and, you know, my culture's not your costuming versus like, no, she actually is supposed to be like a descendant of the Sheikah. And I don't know.
No, it's just that her I don't know what Impa is, like a nanny.
Yeah.
Like her bodyguard is she's one of the last Sheikah that we know of in this iteration of Hyrule. And Impa ends up dying during the events of the game. And then it's just like Zelda is just like, oh, I found all of her clothes and her things. I'm trying really hard not to like be bad about this.
I mean, to be fair, like there is a logical story explanation for it. Is that like she's
Ben Kenobi in hiding on Tatooine?
Yeah,
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, but like I do think that the reason, like I was originally bringing it up, like that connection of like Sheikah, Blue, Zelda, Wisdom, Nehru, all that like being consistent. It feels fair. It is like there is an implication of Zelda as like a connection to like curiosity for like science, technology, and wisdom.
Yeah. That's not
alongside
really
the Sheikah.
illustrated in this
Not
game.
as much in this game, but it's really fleshed out in Breath of the Wild.
100%.
Yeah.
And then when you think about Link, Farore, and Courage, you've got the Kokiri, these children who are living in this world without parents. And it's like, you got to be brave. You've got this one big tree that's like, no, it's cool. And they're like, okay, I guess we got to just face the world as children forever. And like, you need to be brave to do that. And that's what this game's kind of encouraging.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to be brave if you're a kid. It's scary. There's a big, scary world and there are bad people, but got to be brave and you got to stand up for your friends.
And if we really want to go deep on tying these little threads and connections, if the Koroks then are the stand-in for the Kokiri,
some would say they're actually like a de-evolution of the Kokiri.
Yeah.
Because without the influence of the Deku Tree, they kind of revert back to a more deciduous forest type of vibe.
But they throughout their quests in Breath of the Wild and just the nature of them being like, oh, we're out exploring the world and we got lost or we hid or something, there's also an implication of these is like, in spite of how weak and frail and silly they are courageous little beings.
Sure. Yes.
It's and then okay, anyway. It's consistent throughout the games.
It's very simple but effective visual storytelling. Where you've got these colors that have associations, stays consistent. Consistency is the name of the game in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, exactly. Like those are the vibes that like Miyamoto was talking about. It's like, and now I kind of want to think back to like, was this color standard established in like Link to the Past? I don't think so. I think it started here. Like this game really is sort of like, if there's a Bible of Zelda vibes.
Genesis.
This is this is it. Yeah. And like he also states timeline wise, this is implied to be the first, So anyway, we're given the very green MacGuffin of the forest.
Spiritual stone of the forest. And it's just like you're like, okay, so great. We've got what's the green like precious?
Oh, emerald.
Emerald, yes, yeah, of course. Fun little detail as well is that so the Deku Tree dies and like all of the color drains from its face and it's just basically like, Link, you got to leave the Kokiri forest, like you're not one of us and but we need you. And Link leaves that area where the Deku Tree is. Then Mido, who was originally blocking your access to the Deku Tree, now holding you back, and he's like, what did you do to my dad?
Yeah.
And it reminds me because it's very similar, like tonally to when the hero in Secret of Mana pulls the Mana sword and then he gets banished from Podos village. And it's just like, no, that had to happen. Like it's a necessary loss in order to get the quest properly going. Like you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. And in this case, you gotta kill a ancient sentient tree in order to go on a road trip.
Was this part of Arthurian legend? Was he banished after he pulled the sword?
No, so I'm glad you asked about that because I just started
where all this comes from.
I just started rereading Thomas Mallory's Le Morte d'Arthur, the 1450s collection of Arthurian tales. So Uther Pendragon is a knight who becomes king through force, and he's all brawn, no brains, and he gains a wife by having Merlin disguise him as a duke of a close other castle, and he through trickery kills this duke, takes his appearance, and has sex with this duke's wife, which begets Arthur. And Merlin does this. Merlin gives Uther the ability to shapeshift into this other duke. I believe it's the Duke of Cornwall. And so Arthur is born as a result, but Merlin's deal the bargain that Merlin makes is that once you have a child with this woman, I'm taking it. And I'm going to take that child and have him raised in obscurity in a different part of the world. And because we don't want this kid to know that he's the chosen one, that he is destined to pull the sword. So before Uther dies, and I mean, obviously this is all fake, but in one of the versions of the Arthurian legend, Uther Pendragon so his child's been taken away and his wife is going like crazy because she had just given birth to the kid. The kid's not even baptized in this old timey. I know.
My pearls.
And so the child's gone. Uther is now questing just to kind of get away from his like bad wife. And he gets ambushed by some barons that didn't want him to be in power. Cause Uther represents like might is right, which is not the right way to be a kind and gentle leader. So as he's dying, he shoves the sword into the stone and says, only my son and the rightful king of England shall pull this sword from the stone. And Arthur is being raised in obscurity and he's being called Wart. They don't even say that he's Arthur. And he thinks that his adopted parents are his parents. Much like Link, thinks that he's a Kokiri. He doesn't know that there's anything different about him until the call to adventure comes. And Arthur is the youngest brother of this family. And his older brother is a knight, or at least a squire, named Kay, K-A-Y. And he's going to a tournament, like a jousting knights tournament, but he forgets his sword. So he's like, Wart, go back to the castle and get my sword. And Wart goes back to the castle and everything's locked up because everybody left and he can't get to the sword. So then he goes to the sword in the stone, which is, they built a church around this sword.
Yeah.
Temple of Time.
That sounds familiar.
They built a church around this sword and it's always being watched by 3 knights. And
that's also familiar.
The knights aren't there because they went to the tournament. So now for the one time, the sword is unguarded, and Wart, aka Arthur, sees this sword. He's like, I better get this sword for my brother so he can go into the jousting tournament. And so he just like casually pulls the sword out and he brings it to Kay, and Kay sees the sword. He's like, uh-oh, like that's the sword in the stone. Like what? And so Kay originally is like, yeah, I pulled the sword from the stone. Like, I guess I'm the king now. And they basically make everybody go back to the stone. Arthur puts the sword back in the stone and he's like, go ahead, someone else pull it. And they all try, they can't get it out. And then they're like, they've got like, the priests and all of the important people of the time. They see Arthur pull the sword back out and they're like, okay,
you're in charge
I guess this like 10-year-old boy
Yeah.
is going to be our king. And he doesn't get exiled, but he gets kind of like ignored by a lot of the local lords and ladies where they're like, no, like we're going to come back after Easter and we're going to try it again. And they're like, oh, we'll come back for Christmas and try it again because like, I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
And so he gets kind of like ignored or at least shunned because they don't think that he's ready. They're like, maybe he needs to go into a coma for 7 years. And then, I'm just making it up. But,
well, I mean, that so parallel's still there, that like, the adult's journey that we're going to talk about eventually is like him going around and proving like he is who he says he is.
And in one version of the Arthurian legend, which I thought was brilliant, it's and I know I've brought this movie up before, but Excalibur by John Boorman it's in my top 10 films of all time. Beautiful, beautiful movie. And so Arthur is now at war with some rebel like kings, essentially, who are denying the proof of his right to power. And their whole reasoning is they're like, why would we kneel to a boy who's not even a knight? And so in the middle of battle, while he's in one-on-one combat with King Urien, who is just some other guy. And he was like, you know what? You're right. And in the movie, he was just like, "You'll knight me," and he just like he gives this man who's trying to kill him his sword, and he kneels down in a river, and he's like, "Knight me," and the man is just like, he's holding Excalibur, and looking at this kid who he's like, "There's a head I could chop off real easy," and instead he's like, "You know what? That's what I needed to see to believe that he is the rightful king, is that he is willing to just put his life in my hands because he knows he's in the right." You know, it's one of the back to Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Campers, old books are not boring. Old books are more interesting than new books, by the way.
They're also like what everything's based on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stop talking about King Arthur now. But Excalibur obviously is the master sword, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, well, and so to wrap up for today, I think we'll talk about like leaving Kokiri Forest and entering Hyrule Field. There's I love the scene with Soraya, where you get the not titular ocarina, but a ocarina.
Nah, you get the peasant's ocarina.
Yes. And she like realizes that he's different. And it's now that you mentioned the idea of like a dating simulator, these scenes feel like there could be so much more impact to them. But I don't know. It's just like it does feel like a very sort of you're growing up kind of moment that it's like the world is much bigger than you were told it was or understood it to be.
Yeah. This is like Link. He's like, oh, like I was like, I've been great friends with this girl. Now we're both coming out of age where we're starting to see each other a little differently. Now I've got to move schools.
Yeah.
And like you're having that last thing where it's like, well, we never like held hands or kissed or said we had crushes on each other, but I guess I'll see you when I see you. And here's my phone number, aka this ocarina that you can call me with.
And like the way he just like steps back and runs away is so good. There's we were talking about like Zelda movie and like the handling of Link, and like
gonna talk.
The more I pay attention in Breath of the Wild to like technically Link does talk a little bit. Yeah. Every once in a while you're choosing a response to people. And there's like a tongue-in-cheekiness to him. Yeah. And like a naivety, like almost like I don't know how to interact with people.
Like he's a 10-year-old stuck in a 17-year-old's body.
There's a little bit of that. And there are some elements of like that sort of cheeky version that the cartoon character even portrays, which I know they weren't thinking about at all. But like, no, he is kind of a silly guy, a little bit. And I think they're going to make him like a stone cold serious Game of Thrones character. In the movie.
Hope they go more like Aang from The Last Airbender, where he's like, he's got the weight of the world on him and he has moments of like sincerity and like gravity. But most of the time he's just a kid that's just like got incredible powers that he uses to have fun with.
Yeah. I think he's more of a like shonen anime hero than people think of him as this silent protagonist. Like he is my favorites, like Goku and Luffy the Monkey, you know, like I think he is more like them than people realize. Yeah. And I hope that's what they do with him in the movie.
But no, dude, I hope he's like Doom guy.
Yeah. But anyway, we walk out and we meet the owl.
You mean Kaepora Gaebora?
Oh, he's got a name?
Yes. Okay. Oh, hold on. I'm going to open up my official Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time player's guide.
Kaepora Gaebora.
And Kaepora Gaebora. If there was one thing Link could never have enough of, it was friends. A wise old owl kept a close watch over him, swooping in only when he felt his advice was needed. From time to time, whenever Link required help in his travels, Kaepora never hesitated to lend a wing.
Yeah. Is there any reason for him to exist other than as an aged guide, a sort of, I think of him as like the Merlin figure. Doesn't Merlin guide Arthur in certain versions of the story?
He's an essential player. He's more like, the way that Gandalf is important to Frodo.
Yeah, he's a Merlin. He's a Gandalf. But he's a very Deus Ex Machina version of it is not quite the right explanation, but there's no like connective tissue to the story for his existence. It's kind of just a little weakness in this game.
No.
But
I disagree. Keipora Gabora is the most interesting character in this game. And I'm saying that with tongue in cheek, but Keipora Gabora seems to be I think he's the eyes and ears of Rauru. I think he has some sort of psychic like link. He might be a familiar for Rauru. Where
I'll buy that.
There's an implication later in the game that the owl realizes that Link is time traveling, and he sees in like the way that like, you know, some animals can like see colors that we can't see, or they can like smell things that we can't, or they can hear things that we can't. I think Keipora Gabora is sensitive to the fact that Link is time traveling.
Yeah.
And that he's like, oh, like, you know, I don't think that the future was supposed to happen that way. Maybe if you were to do something about it. And it's just mostly he's there for tutorializing.
Yeah.
He's also there to kind of like trick the gamer into watching dialogue scroll through. Cause he's like, did you get all that? And if you press the wrong button, he's just gonna be like,
it's very frustrating when you press the wrong button.
Mother-in-law where you're like, I heard this story.
Okay. So if that's the argument for his story connection, then if I were him acting through the owl, I'd be like, dude, just stones? What are you talking about? Just go hang out in the forest. Stay there. Because what Link does is gather the stones for Ganondorf and lead him into the Temple of Time.
Yes, but it's like sometimes like when you get your foot caught in a bear trap, like you need to like
cut it off and keep
no.
going?
Like it's the opposite. It's like your first instinct is to just pull out, right? But you actually have to push your foot deeper into the trap in order to actuate the trigger,
the mechanism to open it.
It's like it has to happen because the game has to happen, and second is because like when we get to like the importance of the sealing of Ganon as a evil entity, it's like kind of like a vaccine where it's like you got to get a little bit of it in you before you can fight it off. And like I think the big game plan, because like once Link assembles the stones, it unlocks the portal to the Sacred Realm, which allows you access to the Triforce, which gives you divine power over Hyrule. All are like building blocks that lead to the eventual sealing of Ganondorf to guarantee times of peace, and not like you got to have 7 bad years to have 1,000 good years.
Like, so, yeah, we're laying early breadcrumbs to like operating on your theory of Rauru. Like he's the one doing the grand scheme of like, I could see kind of all timelines at once. And I see this is the way we have to solve it, is to get to this point where at the end of the game, Ganon's going to get sealed away.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll buy it. Sure. Why not?
Man, I really love talking about this with you, Josh. This is a treat. I'm really glad we're talking about Ocarina of Time in the camp video games fashion of taking it pretty seriously.
Well, and I think we're going to have a lot of these moments where we're like, let's take it seriously for a minute and then agree like it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Oh, it's a video game. It's fake. It didn't happen.
We're just doing this for fun. We're just theory crafting for fun, which is, something more Zelda fans should do. Is we're like, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yes, it doesn't have to make sense. It has to make you feel good.
It's fun to talk about, but it ultimately doesn't matter if you solve it or not.
Yeah.
But I want to end, on just the other thing I love about leaving the forest and the introduction of Hyrule Field. Most people who play this game's first experience of like a open world 3D environment. It's like the ultimate Final Fantasy airship moment.
Yes.
Which we've probably talked about before, is this moment where you suddenly feel the world is huge and free and you can do anything you want. I, of course, beelined straight for what I knew needed to happen.
Yes.
Because I, in hindsight, know it's mostly empty space.
Right. The main directive for Link at this point is go to Hyrule Castle. Like, you got to go meet Princess Zelda. Yeah. And I guess that's where we'll leave it for this week, campers.
I want to say one more thing about like Hyrule Field and experiencing it this time is that our kids like. It's funny. She just got Minecraft, and like she doesn't play it much. She watches more videos about it still than she plays it. But I've played it enough with her that I kind of get it now, but like I don't know. I still don't think it's that great. But like
same rules apply. When it turns nighttime, zombies come out.
Yeah, but I've played in the creative mode where it's just like you're a free floating god.
Yes, love
and
that.
it's funny because it makes you realize just how small the scale of this game is. Like it makes you understand the degree to which you're just in this tiny little diorama shoebox when you're like in 3D spaces in Ocarina of Time.
That's
or like
always
other
been the
games from that
intention for
era.
Zelda games.
Yeah.
The first Zelda game, they wanted to have an entire world in a diorama playbox. Like they're like, this is a sandbox game where it's just like we've got these boundaries and there's so many things you can do in there, and there's hidden little dungeons that are more than just this overworld.
Yeah, but it's like my mind's eye was able to just do the thing I can do in Minecraft where I could just double jump, fly up, and see the whole world all at once, and I have it all mapped out in my brain.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, oh, it's just a tiny little box, and it just feels big because I'm a tiny little ant in that box.
Yes, and it takes you a while to traverse it.
Yeah,
while you just roll. Oh, can I just mention a thing that kind of always bothered me about this game? The prompt, the A button prompt for Link to do his roll says attack. It doesn't do any damage. It's not an attack.
Interesting.
It's just it should say roll.
Yeah. Which actually another thing about the 3D remake is I'm a third of the way through the game ish, between a third and half, and I can't figure out yet if it's still faster to roll.
It feels faster.
It still feels faster.
I think side hopping is the fastest.
I've been side hopping a lot when I'm like, okay, I just want to move to where I'm going.
Boy. And I know we said we were going to wrap up. I love backflipping.
Yeah, and it does feel fun.
In the original version,
it's definitely slower and floatier in this.
It feels good, and it's the only way that you can like reach certain like levels that are. It's fun. It's just a fun mechanic. The night and day cycle is such an important part. We'll get to that more when we get to the sun song, probably next episode.
Yeah,
but good golly, you know what? This is the best game ever made, Josh.
I still think Breath of the Wild is better. I'll put it top 10, top 20.
Yeah.
But I think Breath of the Wild, I think Tears of the Kingdom. I got to replay Tears of the Kingdom now that I've revisited Breath of the Wild so much. Anyway, that's a different conversation.
It sure is.
I think all three of these games are in my tops of all time. But this one is definitely aged in that I've been the last several months, I've just been watching my family play Breath of the Wild like a TV show. It is that engaging to me.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I'm like, just like beelining for the exactly what I need to do. And I'm having fun, but I'm not as intrigued and like mystified by the world as I was previously before those other games existed.
It's approaching its third decade of existence.
Yeah.
Too. So that definitely has something to do with it.
Anyway,
campers, Ocarina of Time, pretty good.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep talking about it. Join us next time, where we're gonna meet Zelda. We're gonna go into a volcano or something. We're gonna see some fish people. I don't know. It's fun.
Yes,
good
come
times.
back for more of it.
Let us know in the comments. Is this the best game ever made?
That's a good question.
Does it need a remake?
I invite your criticism.
Does it need
a second remake?
I heard that the remake is going to be two separate games. That they're doing the Final Fantasy thing, where the first game will be childhood, second game will be adult.
Is this true, or are you pulling my leg?
I'm not pulling your leg, and I'm saying
that stinks.
Fuck you! Yeah. Don't do that. Don't turn this into I need to spend $250 just on the games.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to wrap there because I really need to go to the bathroom.
I'm so angry now. What happened? I was having such a good time.
All right, that's enough. We'll be back next time.
Not certain.
More of this later.
God.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram @campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games. Bye.